I founded a business called the Instant Group. It was and is a marketplace for flexible offices, and now I'm an angel investor, and I also run a round the world cycling adventure for charity. My drink of choice is a double espresso with some hot milk. What piece of advice would you give an aspirational founder? So my personal thing is that you need to start early. So whatever age you are now, you've got to start now. You don't have to come up with the next Microsoft now or even have a plan for that. But you just need to do something to start learning skills to run a business. So for me, that was renting out nightclubs and selling tickets and printing T-shirts and lots of little micro businesses that were never going to become a career. But each one of those things taught me something, both the failures and the successes. So I think that's really important, just to get going. I think the second thing is, don't think you have to have a plan at the beginning for a business which is going to be massive in 10 years' time or 20 years' time. With my business, it was really a niche, and most people thought, well, why are you doing that? It's going to be so small. And never in a million years, for the first few years, did I think it would get to the scale it is now. But that all comes naturally. If you're generating cash, you can try new things. So get going with something and it will turn into something much better. If you could sum up your career as a founder with one object, what would it be? Well, I have brought an object with me. I'm not sure it really sums up my career, but this is a photograph of our annual ski trip when I was running the business, and everyone dressed in fancy dress because that was obligatory. And the reason I brought that is because when I bump into people or see people who are in the business in those sort of early 10 or 15 years, that's the thing they always talk about, is the ski trips, the fancy dress, the funny nights out in nightclubs in Italy and Slovakia and whatever. I'd worked for another business for a couple of years and I absolutely hated it. So as a 24-year-old, the last thing you want to do is be in a suit every day and turn up in this horrible corporate office and be in a basement with no windows. So I wanted an environment which people wanted to be in, which was fun, which they enjoyed being in. So for me, part of that was having fun as well. And we were very sociable, we'd have fun, we'd all make fools of ourselves. So yes, we built a business, but actually we did it in a fun way and had fun along the way. Success to me is having time and money to be with your family, really, and having adventures with your family. So that number one is my goal. And secondly is giving back. You definitely want to try and do some good things, help people, whether it's the charity support in Africa with Ride 25 or various other things, mentoring people. That to me is the sort of, I suppose, is a sign of whether you're having a successful life if you leave something better than when you started. My cycling adventure is the big single project because we've raised about £1.5 million, and some of those children that started off on the dump in Uganda have now progressed through the charity after sort of 10 years of supporting it. Some of them are at university. These kids had no chance of going to school originally. 3 of them are now the Ugandan cycling team, and they've just competed in the Commonwealth Games and hoping to get to the Olympics next year. So that's a kind of a clear measure of success. Those guys now have passports, travel, are being sponsored to be international cyclists. Good question. So I have 3 children, 2 of whom are budding entrepreneurs, I'd say. So we often have an evening watching TV, watching Dragon's Den: The Apprentice. And actually, for me, it's really interesting because the questions they often ask about what is gross margin, what does turnover mean, all the sort of basic business questions, I think is brilliant. So actually, my children have inspired me to write a book about encouraging young people, particularly teenagers or 20-year-olds, to start their own business.